I wouldn't have that option. I'd have to start selling things. I don't have to sell anything because it's a phenomenal company. Look, I built a phenomenal company. Someday they'll actually report that. I built a phenomenal company. Why should I have a crooked judge make a decision to get $450 million? That allows me to spend whatever money on my campaign. If I so choose, I'll be spending money on my campaign. I might spend money on my campaign.
Hello, hello, hello.
That I could be spending on a campaign or other things if I want to do other things. So we were gratified by the professionalism of the opinion today. I thought it was a very
I'm gonna follow my husband. Ilagay niya yung sasakyan niya. May ano sa gulong. Lumilipad yung mga bato nun. Kaya tumama doon sa windshield niya. Ayun, nag-crack. So dalhin niya yan sa tawag nun sa shop para palitan ng windshield.
Attorney General in the country, the most obnoxious and the worst Attorney General in the whole country. And she did it for political reasons. Go back and take a look at her ads. We will stop Trump. Well, she knows nothing about me. I've never heard of her. She was advertising and she took ads and saying, we will stop Trump. We will stop him, stop him. Vicious. He said, boy, that's a big one. Then I looked, she got elected, but then she tried to do it with the governor. And it didn't work. She went after the current governor, who's much more talented than she is. She went after the current governor. She was very nasty. And she polled at about 3%. She polled at nothing. And after 6 weeks or 7 weeks, she pulled out of the race. She ran for governor, on what she was doing to me. She thought that would work. It didn't work. I just think that it's very important that, this is a time when businesses have a choice to go to a lot of places, including other countries. They don't have to stay in our country, but they can certainly go also to a lot of other states. A lot of people going to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, a lot of South Carolina, and you have a lot of competition. You shouldn't be persecuting people that have done a great job. I paid $300 million approximately over the years in taxes here. $300 million. That's a lot of money. And you're going to lose those people that pay all that money. And you're not even going to have a state anymore. They just won't be able to do it. Yeah.
Expecting Trump here in 3 weeks. Do you plan to testify? And are you
which hearing?
The trial hearing.
I don't know that you're going to have the trial. I don't know how you can have a trial like this in the middle of an election, a presidential election. And this is a Biden trial. These are all Biden trials because Colangelo works for Biden. Can you imagine they take a guy out of DOJ and they put him into the Attorney General's office and then into the Manhattan DA's office to go after Trump? These are all Biden trials, so I don't know that you're going to have it. I think we're going to get some court rulings. Yeah, please.
But will you testify in that trial?
I would have no problem testifying.
following. Hello, hello, hello. Hello guys. Thank you for stopping by.
People know it's a scam. It's a Biden trial. This is a Biden. There is no trial. There's a Biden trial. Colangelo, the man who stood up, had the nerve to actually stand up and take over. He's been sitting in the background for the last year. Today he went right up front because they figured he buffaloed the whole public and the writers, including you people. He got a buffalo. They forgot. They didn't, a little while ago. Time sort of people forget, but they don't have good memories. I do. They don't have good memories. But Colangelo from the DOJ was put there to go after Trump. And today he stood up and he took over the whole office. He's been running the whole thing. He's been signing the letters. He's been doing things for a long time. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. This is all done by the Democrat Party, and it's all done by Biden and his group. I don't know if it's Biden because I don't know if Biden is even sharp enough. I don't know if Biden knows what's happening. You want to know the truth? Maybe he does. He probably does. But this is all done by Biden and the thugs that work for Biden. And it's a very bad thing. It's a very dangerous thing for our country. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay, so former President Trump there at 40 Wall Street, Trump Tower, one of those buildings, properties that could have been seized as early as today by AG Letitia James, just making remarks there, lengthy remarks, taking questions after finding out a stunning decision by the appeals court in New York to reduce his bond by a whopping 60%. He said he was grateful for the appeals court decision. The appellate division was fair, he said. And he said, Bill, this kind of stuff happens in third world countries.
Yes, yes, indeed. I picked up on the respect that he suggested for the appellate division. Let's see if he's got anything more to say here. We'll hang on the shot for a moment. For what is considered a significant reduction in the bond, they dropped it by about 2/3, actually. With regard to the other trial with Alvin Bragg, he said 3 weeks to a trial, suggesting it's a rush job. Now, there's a lot to get to, and we've got our A-team here to do exactly that. Jonathan Turley and Kerry Kupacker-Bond and Andy McCarthy are with us now. And, well, Turley and McCarthy, your names were invoked several times. And Andy, I want to start with you because I think we found the article to which he was referring. If it's the wrong one, tell us. But this was dated March 23rd, so about, what is that, a week ago?
It's over the weekend, right?
Yeah. Bragg falsifies business record charges against Trump. That's the title of your piece. Explain it, Andy.
Well, there's a lot of problems with this. It would take us an hour just to flush out all the problems with this case. But I think at bottom it's ironic that Trump is being charged by Bragg with falsifying his business records when I think the premise of this prosecution is a falsification. That is, Bragg is saying he's bringing a falsified business records prosecution. What he's actually trying to do is enforce federal campaign finance law, which he doesn't have any authority to do. And I think if he were being transparent about
Why are you
that, it would have
zigzagging,
been great outcry
boy?
about it when the indictment came out. He's played his cards close to the vest from the beginning because he doesn't want to come out and say that what he's trying to do is something that the Justice Department and the Federal Election Commission, federal bureaucracies that are authorized to enforce the campaign finance laws, they looked on in New York for that, and he's trying to enforce federal law.
Jonathan Turley, I want to bring you in here because here's the thing. I mean, he certainly has gotten a lifeline now, and you can hear the relief in his voice. He's got 10 days now to pay $175 million, which he can absolutely come up with. Letitia James put out a statement here where she wanted to remind the former president that, look, the court has already found, she says, that he engaged in years of fraud and that the judgment, the $464 million judgment plus interest against Trump still stands here. So what's next here after he pays the 175? Because this appeals court could come back and decide to reject his appeal.
Well, that's right. You know, the problem with the original trial decision is really twofold. One is, did he engage in fraud? You know, the real estate market is rather infamous for undervaluing and overvaluing assets when it comes to loans and taxes. This is a ubiquitous problem in the area. Well, let's assume that there was over or undervaluation that occurred here. The question then becomes the penalty, which adds a new problem because the judge showed no restraint at all and just imposed a figure that most of us believe is absurd. I mean, when you drill down on that figure, there's nothing there. There's a lot of speculation. But since you didn't have anyone that lost a dime, since the so-called victims wanted to get new loans from the Trump Corporation, this figure really is quite grotesque in its size, and it does raise constitutional issues. So the Court of Appeals has to look not just at ultimately, and there's been a couple of appeals, so these have been divided up, but you have the merits issues that have gone before the Court of Appeals. You're now going to have those questions about the size of this penalty. I can't imagine this penalty being sustained by the appellate court. It was incredibly excessive, and I do believe that Enron had to know that by adopting representing such a huge figure, it would have been difficult for Trump to appeal his decision without selling property.
So, Kerry, we moved from 460 million to 175 million.
Caution.
You were on the
Red
air
light
earlier
camera
today,
ahead.
Jonathan and Andy, saying the appeals court can make this right. Do you think it did?
It's a step in the right direction.
Red light
There's a lot of
camera.
talk this morning in the 9 o'clock hour about a court's need to even put forth a semblance of fairness. It's not just about getting decisions right, it's also making sure that the public can be assured that they are operating in a fair way. And appearance is very important here. And so I take some hope in the fact that the court reduced this bond. And now, of course, they could have waived it altogether. But, you know, this case overall, it hangs on subjectivity. And that's why when Professor Turley calls the judgment grotesque, it really is and shocks the conscience, because valuation at its heart is subjective. And it's an analogy I've used many times on air. But if I wanted to buy a pair of ruby red glittering slippers, I could go on Amazon and pay $40 for them. However, if I wanted to buy those same slippers that belong to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, they're currently valued at around $4 million. And so it just illustrates how what people are willing to pay for something is largely subjective and specific to taste and what's happening contextually. So for them to have imposed this judgment against Trump in the first place, hanging it on an obscure law that's never been applied against someone in this way, with no victims, where at its heart it's subjective, it's just, it's alarming.
Andy, I want to follow up on that because, I mean, this is an unprecedented case. I mean, no one's really seen anything like this come through the New York courts. The way that Letitia James campaigned by targeting Trump, the way that she's gone after him. We've seen the soundbite after soundbite, the video snippets of her. How strong is this Trump appeal? I mean, he sounds certain that he's not going to have to go through with a trial or anything moving forward, that this is going to go away. But how strong is his case? Can you walk us through it?
Well, I think it's very strong for the reasons that Terry and Jonathan just alluded to. The fine is excessive. I mean, I think any objective person looking at this, where you have a case where there were no fraud victims, and in fact, these sophisticated financial actors would have done business again with Trump if they had gotten the opportunity to do it. And they find him. It's not just 454 million. It's 454 million with accruing interest at a rate of about $112,000 a day. The bond that the Court of Appeals said, or the Appellate Division today said, Trump could file, is like a third of what would have been demanded ordinarily. He would have had to post something in the neighborhood of 550 million. To satisfy this obligation ordinarily to stop enforcement so he could appeal. And to Kerry's point, you know, it's important to remember the federal prosecutors for my old office, the Southern District of New York, that's where this case started. And they wanted to make a case against Trump. They just looked at it and decided there wasn't one. Then Alvin Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus Vance, went up to the Supreme Court 2 times to get Trump's financial records, thinking that was going to be the mother lode of a criminal case. And when they got it, not only Vance, but Bragg shut this case down. I really think that the only thing that made Bragg bring the indictment that is now going to go to trial on April 15th was Letitia James' success in the civil prosecution against Trump, which was not available criminally because they didn't have a monstrous statute like she did. But I think she got such plaudits from progressives in New York that Bragg ended up feeling like his hand was forced, and he went back and revived the case that's a garbage case.
Hello, lady.
That he himself had
Hello.
rejected a year earlier.
So
My
we've
man.
seen
You
significant
start pick up for
movement in
today.
cases in one morning.
As,
That's how I view it. With regard to Mar-a-Lago,
Where
on
we
the
going
real estate
to-
issue, he said
where are we
half the
going
living
to
room
passing
should be
our good
but
through?
it's a funny line.
Go
he
what
caught
now?
it. Also, the appellate court
We're
in New
going
York
to the
reversed the ruling
bypass?
against
Yeah.
his sons, Eric
There?
and Don
Yeah.
Jr., doing business in the state of New York. Now, as we balance that
Bypass.
one story, Professor Turner,
Oh, straight
we've got
lang.
the Bragg case out there now. There will be a trial that starts 3 weeks from today. Trump is
K. Band.
It says they reduced the Thank for Trump.
Schedule just
Yeah,
because
175.
you have
Yeah, but
about
Leticia
100,000
James don't
documents
want
that
that.
were just dumped on Democrats. It's Democrats often say, "Oh, don't worry, there's only 300." Well, you don't get to make that decision, and the judge appears, however, to have sort of taken their word for it. Going forward, you got to keep in mind every time I've had a case where we've had this sort of dump of documents, I've tended to find other documents or references to them that were not turned over.
Oh, I
So
thought
as
we're
they
going
go
to the
through
other
this
side.
bunch of documents,
I did not
it wouldn't be
recognize in
surprising
here.
to me if they said,
So
look, we have references here to
depend
other
this
documents
one?
that have not
Yeah.
been produced. They're also going to take this
You
up
like
on
the
appeal.
color?
But the biggest problem with the Bragg
What is this
case
here? Hotel?
remains the underlying case itself. I've been critical of this since
You
it
like
was
the
first
color?
filed for the reasons
Okay.
previously
Don't bother
stated.
me.
They are
Is that
essentially
hotel?
bootstrapping a federal crime, but a federal crime
Or
that the prosecutors
I'm trying to
rejected.
listen to
But
this
it was
guy
not
here
just
talk about
rejected in this
Trump.
case.
Okay.
They
Dang.
tried something like this theory
She thinks
against
she's gonna
John
be quiet. She's
Edwards
gonna be
and went to
quiet. Keep
trial.
going.
And they had their heads handed to them. And after that, the Justice Department was not eager to try to do a sort of hush money as a campaign contribution theory, and they didn't. And so that's what Bragg is trying to revive, and it's a real Frankenstein case. It's made up of different
Can't get near
parts,
the lane.
doesn't
It's
hold
clear.
together, and it's pretty frightening if it can be replicated in the future.
Turn.
Yeah, Carrie, this hush money case, it's going to take us right into the heart of campaign season here. Lasts for a couple of weeks, and this could be the case where he's convicted. It'll definitely be the first case he goes to trial in. And just that image, I mean, talk to me about what that's going to do for the other cases
How
out
come
there,
they
how that's gonna
decide
affect their
they
timelines.
decide to reduce
Well, if
the
it's
fund?
possible, I think this hush money case is even worse than the civil fraud case in that they've somehow converted
Maybe they are
very
guilty.
minor misdemeanors into felonies, as both McCarthy and John Turley have been explaining. And the other thing I was wondering when former President Trump kept talking about, oh, this is a Biden case and all of that, and I thought, well, what is he talking about exactly? And interestingly, and I don't know that I even realized this, there is a gentleman who is helping Alvin Bragg litigate this case right now, who was temporarily in the number 3 spot in the Department of Justice just recently under President Biden, under Attorney General Garland, and he also had experience in helping Letitia James bring her case against the Trumps. So this is somebody who has been doing this for quite some time, and that's some real firepower right there.
Thanks to all of you. And don't go far, okay, Andy? Turley, I warned you earlier. Carrie, don't leave the building. Back in a moment here with the political implications of this. I thought
You
it
see
was
that
interesting
when
was
you
the
are
president said it can also
driving
make me
too
more
fast.
popular. So he's well aware of
And
the
then,
political stakes out here, and keeping these cases in front of the public, and then they can decide whether or not he's being treated fairly or not. So that conversation continues in a moment. Chris Bedford will join us, Juan Williams, and many more as our coverage continues on this Monday afternoon.
That's so fast.
I didn't say a word about you driving. I just live with you.
Sometimes you're doing that too.
You say, slow down.
Ah, I'm going there.
Leave the Chevy so I can get it out.
Ladies, do you avoid intimacy because of dryness and pain? The Neat Reverie. Reverie is an easy-to-use insert that hydrates and restores intimate skin, so you can enjoy pain-free intimacy anytime that's right for you. In clinical studies on the ingredients in Reverie, 90% of women had little to no pain during intimacy. Over 5,000 doctors
How is that?
recommend Reverie because it's safe, effective, and hormone-free. And you don't need a prescription. Isn't it time to
Ah.
go back to feeling confident
You
and
aggressive
comfortable with
bitch.
intimacy right now? So you can
What's out your mouth? I'm alive.
Yeah, I get joking, laughing about it. You go,
Your mouth. Aggressive.
Hey, you look like
on Reverie.com. If you're driving a car
Howdy.
truck with an expired warranty, warranty.
You have
and
to buckle
some
up, boy.
transmission, or needed a full engine
Keep on
repair,
ding-ding
with
my
a $4,000
thing.
repair bill,
Ding,
we
I didn't think you'd let you drive if I wasn't buckled
Don't
up.
get caught off
No, you
guard
can't.
when the vehicle
You
breaks down.
always
Choose the company I trust.
this one. It doesn't
Endurance.
stop.
No matter the
Ding,
mileage,
ding.
if your vehicle is less
American
than 20
Red
years old,
Cross.
Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles
I'll
everything from making
take
the
the
claim to
Chevy
paying the
truck up
certified
next and get
mechanic
that
of
ding
your
fixed.
choice. Act now and get one.
How much you charge for the window, hun? Oh, glass?
$400.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. And you could be approved for up to $2 million of term life protection. I get it, you're busy. But life insurance is essential to your family's
coming?
financial security.
No.
Isn't it worth taking just 10 minutes to help protect those you love? With an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. See why hundreds of thousands of families trust
I have to
Ethos
go
for
to
life
the-
insurance. Ethos.
I must
the
go
fast
to
and
the
easy way to
Sam's.
purchase online term life insurance.
Pick up
Up to
my
$2 million
medicine.
in
You're going to
coverage
Sam's
with no
later?
medical exam.
No,
Some policies
probably
as
not.
low as $1 a day.
Where you going
Answer a
after
few
that
health
thing?
questions and
I
get
told you I
your
got a
free
4
quote
o'clock
at
auction.
applyethos.com.
Oh.
That's apply, ETHOS.com. Apply, ETHOS.com.
Maybe I can run to the Sam's. Maybe I'm gonna buy a fresh
Just for cars. We
salmon.
accept all kinds of real estate too.
I have that
Vacant
salmon
land,
that we
homes,
buy. Remember
commercial
that
properties. We
individual
handle
pack?
them all. Got an unused property, backing up bills?
Maybe I
Consider
can buy
donating to
a
Cars for
fresh
Kids.
one.
It's easy. And Cars for Kids takes
You know, the
over
one
all
that
expenses.
boneless.
Best of all, you get a tax
What's that?
deduction
The one
for
that they
full
cut
appraised
ba?
value of the property.
I don't know.
Wait till
Do you
it's
think
time
that
to
one is
visit.
expensive?
For your property.
That's
Visit
not too bad.
carsforkidsrealestate.org or call
The fresh one?
877
Not the frozen one?
Yeah, that's
That's
not too
Cars
bad.
with a K. Laura and
I think that's what I'm gonna buy. And
I knew when you cleaned up the house with all them boxes, you were going to have a party. So you shipped all your stuff over to the Philippines. I said, she's getting ready to have a party at the house.
oh no, I did not.
I knew it. I should have wrote it down. So I could show it to you. Tired of the shit. Go ship it all out. And then I said, well, she's going to entertain over here one day. Which is fine. I'm not. I knew it was coming. That guy's got a flat over there. Lady's got a flat. Guy's changing it.
Somebody help.
Talking during commercial break here. This is a little bit of
Flat.
a win for Democrats too, because every analyst out
That's
there is
hard.
saying that
Especially if you
seeing
don't,
eviction
like me, I
notice
don't know how to
on
change
Trump
a
properties
tire.
all across Manhattan was gonna
Is that easy to,
backfire in
there's a
big
police
way
again?
politically for this upcoming election. I mean, taking homes away is jarring for the American public and for really anyone that wants to do business in New York.
Yeah, it was going to be complicated. It was going to be ugly. It's not as simple as just putting a padlock on the door. These are properties that are going to have tenants, people who live there. There are hundreds of employees of these different companies, whether it's the golf courses and the clubs or Trump Tower itself. And I think this is kind of an example in some ways of the dog who actually caught the car. When he started to see Ruth Marcus in the Washington Post, we're saying here, and the Young Turks come out and say, whoa, whoa, whoa,
That's
this
quick,
is so
right?
amazingly unfair. It's discouraging.
Back and
business in
forth.
New York. They're starting to freak out.
Not even 20 or 30 minutes.
Then this has gone too far. Chris, you heard the question, right? About women on all this stuff for the campaign. And he said it could also make me.
So you're going to bring the thing quickly?
An hour now.
Huh?
They'll call me.
No, I mean, you're gonna bring the other truck, right?
Yes.
All this law affairs.
And I'll leave it. I'll go out to the auction. Then I'll come back home and get you. Be ready, then we'll go back and get that truck.
One indictment after another. That could have possibly worked, but to see them collapse, and to see them so embarrassing.
I guess you could take me back.
Different
Let's see how we
prosecutors
got. We're gonna
embarrassed,
take
right,
that truck.
lied on the stand, or in this case, the judge getting knocked down after it's
I
been
can
so far in the ballpark.
drive my car.
Every single step of the way. that's
Pull behind the Chevy.
improved
I
Trump's
mean,
credibility.
right on.
And, you know,
All the way
when he
over.
first ran, he said that there was bias in the media. And that used to be a discussion point in America, whether or not that was true. By 2020, that was no longer an argument. Now, when he was running, he says there's a witch hunt. That used to be something they would say, oh, that's maybe a conspiracy
Goodbye.
theory. But now, there's no way to deny it.
But what about this hush money case? Because this was
Where
actually
you going?
not great news for
I'm
the
going.
former president here at the trial.
I'm going
Still set
inside.
free.
Yeah. pick Jacob up and...
Jury selection is going to get
Yeah,
started
not
here.
later.
You know, it's
I'm
going to take
going
a few weeks.
inside.
This
Oh.
takes us right into the
I
middle
thought
of
you could
campaign
park your car in the
season.
garage
There's going to
inside.
be
Oh, no.
lots of images of him in trial. It's possible
Gonna
that he
live
can be
here.
convicted. You heard Carrie Urban say this is probably the worst case for him right now.
Ah,
That impact him.
bye-bye.
Even the hush money trial